Hello, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Film Angle. My name is Kris.
And I'm Alex.
Why are you speaking like you're from Ireland?
Well, Kris, I am from Ireland.
Oh, I thought I was the Irish one.
Well, it turns out I've gone back to my roots recently.
That is probably the worst Irish accent I've ever heard, Alex. We've had, no, maybe my partner Lauren takes the prize there, but that is pretty bad, man. That is, you just spat on a whole race of people.
I swear that's what they sounded like when I was over there.
No, there was one part we were on a tram, and I think somebody was like blocking the tramway, and all you could hear was the driver. We fully stopped, and everybody was looking around. The tram driver was like, "Get off the road, you fucking bastard, you begging, yeah." I was like, "Oh yeah, we're in Dublin, yeah."
That was the most Irish thing I'd ever heard. It was brilliant. It was so good. I mean, you couldn't see what was going on, but it painted a good picture.
Yeah, that's when I knew I was home. But yeah, we just came back from Ireland, as you can kind of guess. So we had a wee holiday there. Kind of our first holiday away as the Film Angle, or as friends in general.
as the Film Angle on tour. We went to many venues who said, "You want to do what?" And we said, "Podcast." And they said, "Get the fuck
out." Yeah. I don't think podcasting has arrived in Ireland yet. It's still a pretty new thing over there. But
we just went for fun. And we had a great time. We got to see Dublin. We got to see where they make the Guinness.
Yes, we got to be part of Guinness. I think
for a short moment we were Guinness.
We were Guinness. I drank some of your face, and you drank some of mine.
That's true. And then later on, I think by the end of the night, I was 80% Guinness.
I think it was 80% Guinness for the entire week.
There was a lot of Guinness. I carried on as well. I was in Butlins the last 2 days. I decided to stick on the Guinness because it was the only good beer they had.
You're missing home?
Yeah, I was missing home. And do you know, they actually poured it okay.
They did? They treated it with respect. They left it on the side.
It was amazing. It wasn't in a Guinness glass, so not good. But they did the thing where they like pour it a bit and then they leave it for a few minutes and then they go back to pouring it. And I was like, this is actually having just had Guinness from the source, I was like, this is not a bad Guinness. But then later on in the night, it was in a plastic cup, which
I'm sure after a while you didn't really mind because I know from the conversation we had about your little trip to Butlins that I don't think you probably remembered half of it.
Wow, there is that.
No, but it was really cool though going to Dublin, man. I mean, I've been there once before for a day, and I was pissing down rain, and I didn't really get a chance to see the city. But you kind of forget how big the city is, and you kind of when you watch things like on media, like certainly the way the Americans sort of like dramatize Dublin, or you see it in The Simpsons, you see it in like Always Sunny. You've got this version of Dublin in your head, and then you actually go into the pubs at nighttime, and it actually is that thing. It is actually just a bunch of people getting drunk with live music going on all the time. It kind of fulfills that promise.
The pub culture was amazing, and I remember because you had set up this brilliant pub crawl, and the first pub we went into, semi-successful pub crawl, but the first pub we went into, like it had like windows were gated. I was a little bit worried I was going to get murdered. But we went in there, and they're playing the fiddle in the corner, and it was like it was like
it's kind of like when you watch like Harry Potter, and then like there's like a little tiny tent, and then like you go inside the tent, and it's like a city inside. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, the drinking culture, the pub culture, excellent. Lots of good food, and then obviously we headed over into Northern Ireland and saw your folks as well, and that was great. Had a really, really good time, and I loved it, Kris. I enjoyed it.
That's good. No, it's good because for me, it's like I've been friends with you for quite a few years now, but it's like I don't feel like you fully know me unless you know were in front, or you get to, having that closer attachment. You know what I mean? It's kind of like completing the friendship a little bit. So it was really important for me. It was really cool and kind of surreal to see you in an environment where I grew up, which is kind of strange.
I can imagine that must have been weird.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but I liked it. It was really cool, and we had great fun with our parents, and yeah, they loved you, and hopefully you liked them back. So that was good. I had a great time.
It was good. I'm glad. I'd love to come back. I feel like your family knows how to party, so I would like to be invited to one of those, please.
Yeah, typical Irish. But we're not here to talk about Ireland all day, though. I don't think anybody wants to listen to, like, when you go to somebody's house and they're like, "Here's our holiday slideshow." We'll leave it at that. We had a really good time.
And this isn't the Ireland angle.
This isn't the Ireland angle. No.
Or we'd be talking about how we left on the day, that it was the 25 years since the peace treaty.
Oh, you knew that, and I didn't even know that.
I didn't know until we came back, and then Joe Biden did turn up.
Oh, yeah.
We had a very infamous taxi driver who was John was his name, moaning about all kinds of things, including Joe Biden.
Yes.
But yeah, it turns out he did actually turn up, so there you go.
Yeah, he wasn't too wrong. I mean, that was a crazy, that was a pretty strange taxi journey. I mean, that was 20 minutes of biting your tongue, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. You never know where you're going to get into whenever you go into a taxi. You're completely like held to ransom to somebody's rhetoric.
Yeah, the first guy was a crypto bro.
yeah, he was trying to like sell us on this dead dying stock that he thought was going to like kick off at any second, and he had some Canadian guy that he was friends with. He was going to like take him for the ride, and us too.
Oh god. Anyway, not the island. We've gone back to the island angle. We
can tell everybody about how bad my stomach was.
Oh yeah, man. Kris didn't poo for days. 5
days I didn't poo for after this trip. 5 days. I nearly went to the doctors. I imagine I'm not that conversation. Anyway, I can poop again. It's all good.
The Guinness did its thing.
It did its thing, man. And oysters.
Yeah, it could have been the oysters.
Could have been the oysters.
I was alright though. Anyway, island angle. That's the end of the island angle.
For now,
yeah.
Yeah, but coming back, I mean, it's been pretty challenging. Like, it's been, being in the construction industry where I work in, Alex, working as quantity surveying, it's all numbers, and those numbers don't wait for you until they wait for you until you come back, and nobody else picks them up until then. So I've been like rushed off my feet. Trying to catch up on movies has been really, really hard. I mean, I've got a couple we can talk about today. We both watched a pretty recent release this week, so we've got that to talk about. But yeah, we're coming back into flow again, and you'll start to see the episodes start to regulate a little bit more going over the next few weeks.
Definitely. Obviously, our last episode came out a slightly weird, not normal time than the other ones. But what we're doing is we're trying to get back on track, and we're easing ourselves in. We didn't mean to take so long of a break. We knew there was going to be a little bit of a break because of the island angle. But things get bumpy sometimes. Life gets in the way, and our jobs got in the way.
It gives people the chance to listen to other, maybe not so strong podcasts, right?
yeah, the weak ones.
That's right.
So yeah, we're getting back into the flow of things, and things should be a bit more regular here on out for a little bit at least.
Yeah, because I miss talking about movies, because when you spend so much time away, you have to be really, really careful, because like actually not watching movies burns you out more than watching movies. So the longer the break you take, the more that break lasts for longer. I always find that I need to be like regiment myself. I'm watching this tonight, I'm doing this, get myself in the pattern. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be working on that these next couple of weeks. And there's so many things that have came out the last few weeks. So there's a lot to catch up on. I'm really excited.
I found my first kind of like free night. I was like, oh, brilliant. I've got a couple hours. I'm going to watch a film. And I was scrolling Netflix. I was scrolling Amazon. And I did not know what to watch.
You're just tired, probably.
Didn't know what I was in the mood for. I didn't have a clue, and I ended up watching nothing. But yeah, the next day, I ended up watching Blue Jean. Are we going to talk about Blue Jean first?
I think we should. I'm a little bit fresher on this. I know you've had a little bit of time to sit, but I watched it last night.
Oh, you watched it last night.
I watched it
Nice.
last night. Yeah, I had to
I didn't
squeeze.
know.
Yeah, I had to squeeze it in. But I'm glad I did. It's not a. It deals with some heavy subject matter, but I felt like it was a pretty easy enough watch during the week that I know I definitely felt rewarded by it, and I was completely glued through that whole experience. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about it with you.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So let's talk Blue Jean. It's on the BFI player at the moment.
Mhm.
It's a British film by that's been directed by Georgia Oakley. Now I haven't done any research, but it feels like a first film. Do you know if it was a
Well,
first film, Chris?
do you know what's the big tell? When Ariana DeBose did the BAFTA sort of rap song that is infamous now in all our psyche, she references Blue Jean as in the category of outstanding debut in that song.
Oh, what's the lyric? What's the lyric? Because I know you know. I know you know the Ariana DeBose stuff off by heart
Well,
because you were
she,
doing it the
yeah,
whole
but doesn't
trip.
she?
So.
Does, and the category is outstanding debut, and then she says about After Sun, and then she goes, "Blue Jeans, the one." And so she goes, "Yeah." So
Ah.
that's how I know that it's a debut film is only through that and not through research at all.
It feels like one, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I
No,
mean
no,
that
no.
in a kind of like slice of a lot of first time directors go down that kind of like slice of life, a good 90 minutes kind of look at something that's maybe got a little bit of politics intertwined,
Hmm.
and that's very much more a character study than a full blown narrative. And Blue Jean follows a PE teacher who is gay, and it's in the 80s during kind of Thatcher's rule. I can't remember the exact what was it, section 28 or something like that,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, which basically meant that you shouldn't be promoting homosexuality or revealing homosexuality, and basically people from the LGBTQ plus community were shunned and
Mm.
sidelined and
Segregated.
segregated, had to keep it quiet because the general society was not on board
Mm.
with just them living life, which
No, no, and
we've come a
and I know it's sort of in the background of this movie, but the whole AIDS epidemic was just like a sort of tool for for people to kind of demonize even further. It's people think, well, it's like God's sort of punishment to the gay community for for partaking in these activities, which is just ludicrous and insane um, to think about. But you're right. Like Jean, as a PE teacher, she's in a very conservative sort of setting with people who aren't like minded as her colleagues, and she hears it in the background, whether it's on the news in the staff room or just from general chit chat in the hallway, that nobody is really favorable of the gay community. I mean, and she's part of it, but nobody knows that she's gay. She keeps it completely secret to herself, and it's this sort of burden she has throughout the whole movie. Um, yeah, there's this new girl that joins school who is sort of an outcast. Comes in and her at her local gay bar. Jean discovers that the girl comes there one night and basically it's a beacon to her, and the girl knows that she's gay and vice versa, and it's this secret that they both hold between each other throughout their daily school life, and it's a sort of fear where Jane has to sort of decide whether to be a good role model and represent herself as gay so that the young girl can feel comfortable, or whether just to keep it silent and to but which is understandable though. I mean, like the fear is all around. I understand how Jean completely, betrays herself because the the forces against her are just insurmountable, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, and there's this obviously kind of like this power play at work where, oh, if I am not nice to this girl, or there's a situation that means that she can hold this over me, what does
Mm,
that mean for my life and my job?
yeah.
And I think it's a film that kind of grapples with identity and what shapes you as a human. And I don't think Jean wants to be shaped by her sexuality. She loves her job. She loves teaching and the kids that she's teaching and stuff like that. And she doesn't want her sexuality to become a thing in that way. But it's the societal kind of oppression at the time, which is at odds with this, where you know her relationships, her friends and stuff, they almost need her to be more open and be more enveloped in this identity, because that's the only way that you kind of destroy the stigma around it. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, though. I mean, I do agree with that to some extent, but it does seem like whenever she, is not in the spotlight and she's only with her people, that she feels like a kind of fully formed person. It's as soon as that somebody knocks on the door from her past, or she recognizes somebody that she used to know, is whenever we see the as her girlfriend describes her as a deer in the headlights,
Yeah.
and she's a shadow of herself. And then we get these echoes throughout the story with her and her relationship with her sister, that she used to be married. She used to be in a heterosexual relationship, which is really fascinating. Just to kind of the lengths that people go to exist under the radar in society, that so that they're accepted and so that they have an easy life. I mean, who knows? I mean, we're not given that much insight into Jane. Maybe maybe she did love this guy before. We don't know, but she does hint that the day that she was freed was the a happiest moment for her. But great. I think it's a terrific performance. The actress's name, I'm terrible. I haven't done the research for this. But have you got her name? I think she was absolutely fantastic in this, and really reminded me of a young Tilda Swinton in a way.
I can see that. Yeah, her name was Rosie McEwen.
Yeah, she's great in this, and I think the performances in general are really great.
Yes, yeah, I think it's an all round kind of good film that kind of follows that kind of British tradition of kind of screwing the government of the 80s, and
I the costumes are amazing. Like every outfit that Jean wears in this movie is so cool. Everything, I think, for a small debut film, it is very detail orientated. I think it nails the time period really well. The costumes, whether it's the cars or just generally what the look of the film. I think it helps that it's kind of shot, and you can tell that it's shot in film. It has this really,
to it.
Oh yeah, especially those nighttime scenes where if she's walking out by the seaside with her girlfriend, and it almost looks like you're watching a movie from the 80s. It has that very like post British punk look to it. The nightclub scenes are these beautiful red and blue like spotlights on the dance floor. The smoking in this movie is is off the charts too. We thought that French Jean-Luc Godard films were making smoking look amazing, but this movie is equally holding the candle up to that as well. I do have some I don't have major gripes with the film. I have some small reservations, and I think the movie, whilst being quite interesting and being gorgeous to look at and great performances, I think there are moments where it does lean into tropes. I think it's sort of hammering on the fact that the anti-gay media is everywhere. I mean, every scene is almost like there's a show in the background that's making a point. There's a radio show that's making a point about it. Every billboard that she walks past or poster that she walks past is an anti-gay poster or something, which sometimes feels a little bit on the nose. At times, it feels like, would there really that be? But then maybe it's the mindset of the character. Maybe that we're plopped in these moments where it's highlighted to Jane more than. But I just find it a little bit on the nose sometimes.
Like the pressure's on, maybe. I see where you're coming from. I ran into that a little bit, but then I thought maybe as somebody who is kind of fearful for her own job and
she's picking up on it more,
general lifestyle, and just living in the closet for so long, that even the smallest amount of kind of anti-gay propaganda, it feels, overwhelming. And I think maybe that was the idea behind it, potentially. But yeah, no, I see where you're coming from there for sure.
Yeah, and I really actually appreciated this movie could have easily ended down a dark path. I think once there's a revelation, like a pretty shocking revelation, sort of 3/4 into the movie, that happens, and it's a whole sort of drama that happens in the school between incident between two young girls, and Jean's buying Spank in the middle of it, and that is really intense and really kind of hard to watch. And it could have easily descended into that path and just kept it going towards the end. But I actually really appreciated that this movie, while sometimes tense and thoughtful, actually had an optimistic, upbeat ending to it, and it's celebrating the community of gay women and their unity together, and it ends with in such a lighthearted way that I felt that was earned and unexpected too. It didn't feel like it came like it was schmaltzy or anything like that. I thought it was an unsuspectingly feel good film come by the end.
Yes, yeah. I'm not sure if I would describe the whole film as feel good.
No, 100% not. No, no. But by the end, it makes you feel like you've conquered something.
Yeah, like there's hope, which I guess because it's set in the 80s, and we know that we have come a long way since then, and there's still a way to go. Definitely for more ways to go for certain communities of the LGBT community than others. But yeah, we know that there's brighter days ahead,
and it's less of the big picture you're talking about, but it's more just the internal victory that Jean has, when she finally openly admits to somebody who's not in her inner circle that she's gay out of a moment of embarrassment and frustration. And it's like a complete victory for her. She's never done that. And it's both so euphoric for her and the audience watching that moment. It's a real, like, that's why we watched the movie. We didn't know where this young woman's journey was going to go. And I thought that was really well earned. I thought it was a pretty good movie. I know that everybody, it's crazy. It's 9 out of 10 critics average is the average is about 91 Metacritic score online. It's hailed as one of the best British movies in recent years. I wouldn't go to that level, but I think it's a really, really decent film. I think it's well worth watching for anybody, I think.
I agree. 100% agree with every statement you said there.
Yeah, I think you and I are pretty much on the same boat with Billie Jean, which is pretty boring as a listener, because I quite like a good argument with you, Alex. It does.
Yeah, it was a very, very solid directorial debut. I look forward to seeing what the director does next.
Absolutely. Did you manage to catch up on anything else in the last week? I know it's been super busy for you.
Do you want me to talk about Love is Blind Series 4 on Netflix?
Yeah, go for it. We can jump the gap today if you want to.
or Mandalorian Series 3. I think that's about it in terms of other things. But no films, unfortunately.
You've been wrongly prioritizing.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I love to watch the Star Wars stuff. You're not watching Mandalorian yet?
No, I know. I still haven't watched season 3. I always like to come into these Star Wars shows like 6 months after everybody shut the hell up about them, and then I can just
Andor,
enjoy it. Apart from Andor,
because I wouldn't shut the hell up about it.
Yeah, and Andor was good, but there wasn't as much fandomania kind of going on around Andor as there is when you get a Mandalorian or Boba Fett sort of series premiere. But Andor was just such a more intelligent show. And I think it was way more I was so surprised by how cerebral the politics of that whole show was, and it didn't treat its audience like they were slabs of dumb meat watching TV for an hour. So yeah, give me more of that stuff. I love that. I love that show. But we're not here to talk about Star Wars TV shows. I mean, unless you want to.
No.
There was one more movie I did manage to catch up with, which was released at sort of Christmas time. I came back from holiday like you, Alex, absolutely knackered. I just wanted something easy to catch up and watch, and that was Shekhar Kapoor's "What's Love Got to Do with It," which is like a sort of Richard Curtis like sort of British rom com starring Lily James, which I know a lot of people will be familiar with, and Emma Thompson's in here too. It's a mixed bag. It was pretty enjoyable. It centers around these two childhood friends who are now in their sort of 30s, and they must decide whether they follow their hearts, and they kind of it's a smutty thing. It's like they're friends, but like they're going to end up together at the end of the movie. He's from an Indian descent background, so he is going into arranged marriage. He's fooling himself into thinking that he loves it. Lily James plays Zoe, she's a filmmaker, editor, documentary maker, and she's been commissioned to make a movie about her friend Kazim's arranged marriage and to see if it's really true love can be found through arranged marriage. And through the lens of this, they fall in love with each other. You can see where it's going to go, but it's really lighthearted. It's kind of funny. You got Emma Thompson coming in every couple of scenes. She plays the mum. It is what it is. It's not going to like completely set your world on fire, but it's pretty easy way to spend like an hour and 40 minutes. I don't know. Is it your sort of thing?
Yes and no. It looked nice, but it looked like I could tell exactly what was going to happen.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong.
Straight away. And I mean, when you struggle for time for films, I'm not turning my nose up at it in any way. I just it's not taking my fancy right now. Who knows? Maybe something predictable at some point would be my thing. And obviously, I can't say predictable too much because there's a lot of films we watch that still have an element of predictability. But I think I know what I'm getting with that film, and I'm not in need of it right now.
If you're ever just like really like completely bummed out and you need something that's easy, it's definitely worth watching. It has some interesting things to say about family versus love. Is the power of a love between a man and a woman here initially strangers, is that more powerful and more something worthy of seeking than the love you get from a family? So it's got that on its mind. Is blood thicker than water? And kind of doesn't know which side to sit on at the end of the movie, but it's still an interesting thing. But yeah, it's a Richard Curtis wannabe rom-com, and it's a good date night movie, and I won't say anything more than that.
Fair enough.
Of all the movies I could have caught up with, I caught up with that one.
You recommend it to our listeners?
I recommend it to if a couple is listening and they want something easy to chuck on a Friday night. I think it's absolutely fine.
There you go, folks. There you go. Have you watched anything else?
Oh, I did lie. I did watch something else, but I just thought that you wouldn't be, maybe our listeners will be interested. I kind of caught up with a Criterion sort of favorite. It's a classic movie that up till 2015, when the Criterion channel bought the rights and redid it and upscaled it, it was kind of a lost movie. You couldn't really watch it anywhere. It was really hard to get a hold of. It's an American classic called Make Way for Tomorrow, which was directed by Leo McCarey. It came out in 1937. It's really, really interesting. It's kind of like a subversion of melodrama. It's quite, for a movie that's very like, we're talking the golden age of Hollywood, where screwball comedies and the epic musicals and all were coming out, and you get something that's much more. It's lighthearted. It's quite funny, but it's really, really, really touching, and it's held up with some of the greatest, acting of that era I have seen. It's incredible. It's about a family, the Cooper clan. They are all having a reunion during the holidays at their parents' home, and the parents, who are elderly and very much together, make an announcement to all their adult children that their house is being foreclosed, and they have to move out next week. And so they're basically homeless. The children oblige, they want to house their parents, but they can't house them together because none of their houses can support two of the parents at once. So all the children live at different parts of America, and both of the elderly couple are forced to split and live with different children across the country. And it's really, as you can expect any family dynamic like that to go on. They're just like sand in the gears of their children. Basically, um, they unintentionally get in the way. The children can't. One of the children, his wife does a bridge class, and where she has like 30 people come to the house, and the mother is just sitting in an armchair in the middle of the room and wants to talk to everybody, and this is embarrassing the wife and everything. She's whispering in George's ear like, I want her out, she's a pain. And the same thing is happening with the husband, Barclay, or Lucy, his wife calls him Bart. He's on the other side of the country, and he just doesn't know what to do with himself. He's in the way, and it's really sad. Like, you really get an appreciation for elderly people that you don't get in other movies. There's a real affectionate way that Victor Moore and Brie Bondi, they play these two characters, and they absolutely love each other. Being apart from each other just hurts them so much, and it's so hard to watch. And yes, of course, like, the children are burdened, perhaps their lives are upended by their parents' decisions, but it's really hard to see when we're watching as an audience. We get to see them at such a human level, these two elderly people, and how sweet they are together. It's so hard not to feel like they are injustice. And the movie kind of builds up to this climax where they're both forced to live away from each other permanently, and they both know they probably will never see each other again. It's really, really heartbreaking.
Whoa!
Yeah,
don't spoil this for me, Chris.
Well, I won't spoil it. I mean, it's a very. Should I go on? I mean, do you want? No, should I leave it for you? I think you should watch it yourself. I mean, I think you'll get a lot out of it, Alex. I mean, Orson Welles was famously quoted for saying that this movie could make a stone cry. So yeah,
wow.
it's. Don't get me wrong, though. It's not like depressing. It's for most part, it's very lighthearted. But it's I think you're probably seeing one of the most tragic love stories, between these two people. They just completely, the acting is on a different level here. And yeah, I was completely enraptured by the whole thing for the whole hour and a half that I sat there watching it at like 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, definitely worth catching up for anybody, regardless of who you are or how many movies you've watched. I think anybody would like this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it before, but when you messaged me to say that you'd watched it and stuff, I checked out like a little description and a couple of clips from a trailer, and I was like, yeah, this looks interesting, and I'm gonna check it out. Definitely, I'm gonna check it out. I think your reviews got me. And I love a good cry at a film, so I'll go for it.
I think we're suckers for that sort of era Hollywood too. That type of acting. It's kind of like, it's interesting. Like, when you're watching the interior, a lot of this is set in house interiors, and a lot of the interiors kind of look like the modern day sitcoms look like. And it's kind of like you're watching the very, very first ever sitcom, except it doesn't have that, like, that air of ridiculousn's. But it's really cool. You're seeing a lot of roots of things in this movie. But yeah, great. It's so cool to see something so subtle for the time. I can see why it wasn't a big box office hit when it came out in 1937, because it wasn't a big, loud movie. But I think anybody would be entertained by it now. And, like, again, as Orson Welles said, you're a stone if it doesn't make you cry.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I will. I'll definitely check that one out, Chris. I think we should end it there, because I don't think I've seen anything else. You haven't seen anything else. We'll have
no. This was always going to be a short one
to get back into the swing of things, and we'll be back next week. I'm not going to say I promise, because if I say I promise, something in life will happen where we can't get an episode. But we are very much aiming to be back on schedule next week. and for the foreseeable weeks. So you'll get your film angle fix.
Yeah, 100%. I've got some stuff lined up. I'm really excited to watch. We've got like Evil Dead Rise comes out like in the weekend. I'm going to catch up on Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, hopefully I have some juicy things to talk about, and I'm sure you'll see some different stuff.
I'll see what I can do. I'm at
He's shaking. He's panicking now.
Oh god, I'm at a golden retriever cafe on Sunday, Chris.
Well, yeah, priorities, you know.
We have to reward our TikTok star Cody, the golden retriever. He brings in the views on TikTok, so we need to.
And he didn't get to go on holiday.
This is his little treat. This is his little treat. He can have a cafe with, I don't know, 100 other retrievers, whoever turns up.
I completely endorse this. That's fine.
Yeah, I've we got to pay our interns sometimes. Okay?
He's a good boy.
We're not paying him. We'll pay him in treats and experiences.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it here, guys. We're not gone. We are definitely here. We're coming back with a vengeance. We haven't got any big holidays coming up soon, so hopefully no more breaks. So yeah, keep an ear out for more episodes coming. Hopefully every Wednesday, right?
Yes. And we're going to jump back on the Criterion train. Not Criterion, BFI train.
Yes. I didn't jump back on it this week because the first movie we've got to jump back on the train on is 192 minutes. So yeah, during a busy working week, that's a hard one to squeeze in. But yeah, we'll fit that one in for sure.
That'll be coming up soon. So make sure to follow us on our Instagram and on our TikTok channels. We are just at the Film Angle on those. And stay tuned for more episodes, and tell your friends, tell your family, get them liking it, get them subscribing it, and we will see.
Don't tell any Irish people; they might not like this episode.
Yeah, I'm regretting the
accent.
I'm regretting it.
I'm not cutting it out. It's definitely staying in.
Oh, okay. I'll take one on the chin. I might literally have to take one on the chin for that accent. But that's been the Film Angle for this week. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chris.
Good night.
See you later. Bye-bye.